Welcome everybody to Wow Wednesday in the real estate market here in Philadelphia. Craig Lurch, eXp Realty Luxury, coming to you live from WWDB AM Talk 860 Radio in Philly. It is a Wednesday after Memorial Day. Summer has started. It is now wow time and countdown to the 250th birthday here in Philadelphia. So for you that all do math, come on, you can do this math. I know. It's somewhere around that 40-day mark. I'm guessing right now. I think it's 41 days. I was counting earlier today. But, hey, what an exciting time. I had an opportunity to spend the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, doing something different. Went to Florida, went to Delray Beach, had a chance to visit with some friends, see what it's kind of like in other cities and other states during Memorial Day weekend. It got lucky. It rained here, right? I'm sitting there looking at my producer, my boys out there. They're like, yeah, it rained. It stunk here. But guess what? It was beautiful down there. So now I know why sometimes you come back and you're like, man, I can't wait till I get away again. But, hey, we were there talking about real estate. We were there talking about our show, Selling 215, made in Philly. We're actually going to be taping on the 2nd. We're going to be out in the Ambler area. We're going to be at Tracini's talking to Brad about the pasta he makes there and the parties that they can throw doing that. We're going to be at Bridget's, meeting Bridget of the Bridget Steakhouse in Ambler. We're going to I'm going to call it the Zootique of all zoos in Pennsylvania. Matter of fact, the #1 zoo in Pennsylvania. We're going to the Elmwood Zoo. We're going to be meeting with them. We're going to be taking some tours and getting ready we're having a client party there in Christmas in July, on July 25th. So we're going to have some fun. The zoo is open and it is having a Christmas in July party anyway, but we're going to be hosting one for our VIP clients. And hey, you know what? It's all about changing lives. I always talk about the 3 funnels: change lives, make money, and have fun. I want to give you a shout out to the stewardesses that were on the American airline that, we flew down to West Palm with. Let me tell you something. Y'all got to calm down when you're on a plane. People just got to stop being all uptight and all that stuff. These are only stewardesses and stewards, and they're trying to do everything they can, but they do change lives. They smile. They help people with their bags. They do everything. And I'm giving a shout out to all the airline stewards and stewardesses that help everybody every day to make our life easier. But again, everybody, go in. Say thank you to them. The second I get on a plane, the first thing I say, hey, thank you for what you're going to do on this flight. I know it's not easy. I know it's crazy. You've got anywhere between 80 to 260 people that are going to be all wanting what they want when they want in a small can flying at 400 to 600 miles an hour. So, hey, reach out next time, do something different and reach them well. At the same time, it has some fun. I love making them laugh. I love doing something. I actually also bring chocolate covered pretzels for them. I usually bring 3 bags, one for the front deck, one for the back deck, and definitely you never forget the captain in the front deck. He's the one that's making sure you get there. So, hey, follow us out on YouTube, Selling 215 Made in Philly. Always follow us also on this Unscripted Real Estate Talk and Craig Lurch, Selling 215 in Instagram. Love it. Give me a call. Love the chat. See if I can always help you in real estate. I don't just do radio shows. I sell real estate daily. So that's what our show is going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about a topic, what multiple offers really look like behind the scenes, or as I say, behind the curtain. Really, let's talk about the Wizard of Oz. It is not fun for everybody. It is emotional. I tell everybody real estate is a full contact sport. Unfortunately, the average agent will sell 3.6 homes a year. If you're in California, I'll give a shout out to some of my friends that are out there, but they're $1 million, $2 million, $3, $4, $5 million, some of them $10 million houses. So they do 3.5 of them a year. They're making a living. But the bottom line here in Philly, where it's $350,000, $400,000, it can be a little sketchy and a little tough and stress worthy to do that. So, but work with a professional. We're coming into, the second half of the year, coming into the end of June, starting in July. This is when a lot of people that are serious about selling are really selling. I know that I've seen a lot of homes that are coming on the market. I'll actually give you some statistics about it, but we're going to be talking about exactly what that is, what multiple offers look like behind the curtain as a buyer, as an agent, and as a seller. They all vary. They're all different, but we're going to be discussing them as we go on this morning. I'm flying solo, so this is like everybody says, how do you do a live show for a half hour? Let me tell you something. I just pretend you're all here. I love talking. I love sharing the ideas. I love changing lives, making money, and having fun, and that's what this whole part about. It's been a big week in the Philadelphia area. We've got the Phillies out there that are now traveling. They're out there with the Padres. We had a bunch of baseball. We have, like I said, coming up on the big party of the 250th birthday. And it's time to let's start talking. And did you know today? I keep saying, and I've said it earlier today, changing some lives. On the way in, today is National Melissa Day and National Aaron Day. On my ride into the radio show, which is about 40 minutes coming from my office in here, I had an opportunity to leave some messages. I had a chance to talk to a really longtime friend and longtime family friend, Melissa Sykes, who is also in the title business. And she goes, "Oh my God, Craig." I said, "Melissa, every day is about you." And I left a message for my dear friend, Melissa Crockett Willis out in Indiana, Ohio, Mentor, Ohio. And I was like, "It is National Melissa Day." I said, "The problem is, every day is about you too." So they agreed. It is all about them. And I left some messages for my guys, Aaron McKee, Aaron Gray with Century 21, giving some shout outs to the Aarons and the Melissas. I know if you know an Aaron and a Melissa, go out, reach out to them and get at it. All right. Did you know that we're going to play a real quick thing with my producers? We always do this. Today, you like popsicles? And I'm not talking about popsicles with the alcohol in it, like down in New Orleans, of course. You like the ices. All right. Well, today is National Grape Popsicle Day. Grape. Like Grape Ape. Remember the old Grape Ape cartoon? And that a little bit of grape. You know what? Buddies of mine drink grape vodka and club soda. Yeah, no, it'll hurt you, but yeah. You know, my boy Rich Rambo. I think that's his favorite. You know. Nah. Rich is a good dude. You know, he is a Florida guy, but he also a huge lacrosse family. You know, a little yell out to my boy Rich Rambo. The other one is Nothing to Fear Day. I love that. You know what? We get so caught up in fear, and we get so caught up in what other people are thinking that we actually stop ourselves. We actually stop growing because of the fear of hearing no, the fear of that's not right, the fear of why are you doing it that way. There's a great book out there, Mel Robbins, Let Them. We were sitting on the plane flying home, and we were in an exit row, so I had some extra space, but there was a lady behind me, and I know you get on a plane, it's close quarters, and unfortunately, she must have had a cold. She had something because she was hacking and sneezing and blowing, and everybody around her was looking at her. And I reflected back on that book because I remembered the book. In the book, there was an episode that she talked about in a chapter about let them. She goes, I could sit there, turn around and say something, or just understand, let them. And understand that I don't have a fear of saying something, but I'm not going to. And the point is it's going back to fears. I was just a thing. I don't know why I went on that tangent, but the point is sometimes you let people be who they are and let you be who you are. You are the only one you and where it's at. All right. The other one is I had a little fun this weekend, did some shopping for my kids when I was down there. And one of my son loves these rubber duckies. I don't know what they were. We went to the military shop 9 Line, and they had the rubber duckies. So I love these things. I have fun. I like leave them all over the place for them. So it is National Ducky Week, National Ducky Month, Ducky Month. So, hey, as you're down the shore in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be having our new EXP office opening down in Wildwood Crest area. My boy Michael Guida kicking it out. It's going to be a cafe real estate office. It's right off the center street. We're going to start looking for it right now. I think it's the 400 to 100 block of Pacific. It's right there. It's right on the corner. You're going to see it. You're going to see the coffee shop, the croissants. It's going to be run by his grandkids, his daughter, his family. And if you need any real estate stuff down there in the Wildwood area, any of the shore points, we had Jeff Quinton on last week from Ocean City, New Jersey. We have my business partner, Jack Zaborowski, also down in there. We're getting ready to list some properties in Brigantine. Listen to me, everybody. If you're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, end of a townhouse row, within a block and a half to the beach in Brigantine, for $550,000. That's right, $550,000 you can still get with a yard, with parking, with all that stuff. Get a golf cart. Call me. It's not on the market. It's going on this weekend. DM me at Craig Lurch, selling 215. We'll help get you that information. So let's get into talking about some real estate. All right. Everybody thinks that the second they see a sold sign, it's over. And they say, oh, it's easy. Or they see a sold sign, they say, oh, it's sold over asking. Or they say there's going to be multiple offers and I'm not going to get involved. We actually have some appointments set. Vicky, my executive showing partner, will be actually with some clients, and I'm going to be with them because it can't be everywhere at one time. We've got some homes that are only starting showings on Friday night. They're having an open house Friday night, then they're showing Saturday and Sunday. And one of the things is in selling real estate, it's trust with your clients. It's trust with your seller and trust with your buyer, how to position the property. But it's also how to position yourself with other agents. And I was reading the description on one of the properties, and I live in abundance. I love to help. I love to go from there. And I was looking at their notes or documents that they had loaded up in the property. And they actually had some things that shouldn't have been up there. They had their listing agreement up there. They had some other stuff up there. Normally you put your seller disclosure, your lead-based paint. And I actually just reached out to the agent and said, hey, by the way, I see this in there. And they're like, oh my God, I had some challenges over the weekend. I had somebody help me. Thank you for letting me know it's there. I didn't have a chance to check it. And there were some things about showing times that I was trying to get in, and they're like, no, you can't do that. But I said, well, there's some conflicting things. But one of the things that did that was it helped build a trust. It helped build, one, it's not all just about the sale. It's about helping the other agents. And if you're helping them and you're building a bond going into the transaction and you're communicating well, that's a big key, especially if you're a listing agent. Give the buying agents as much information as possible. Give them as much leniency within the guidelines that your seller is recommending you in your fiduciary responsibility. And as a buying agent, your job is to also communicate with the other agent. They probably have information that the seller wants you to know. When do they want to settle? Do they want to lease back? Do they want to stay for nothing? Do they want to have inspections? Have they had inspections? Why are they moving? What are those concerns? We have a home getting ready to go on the market that literally the seller is willing to take less money for the least amount of aggravation. If he could leave this 7,000 square foot house fully furnished and totally everything and just leave and let the buyer deal with it, he's willing to take a $100,000 cut on a 1.5, 1.6. He's looking for the least amount of aggravation. He says, yes, money is important, but the least amount of aggravation. No matter whether you're working with a buyer, a seller, an investor, whatever it might be, if you think you're going to be in multi-offer positions, set the property up that way. Set the way up you can communicate. Put all that information. You should do it all the time anyway. But the point is, get ready, get geared up for it. We have a bunch of clients that we're going live with homes next week. We've told them to go away for the weekend. Go away for the weekend. We've got this. We're going to have control of it. We're going to know everybody coming in and out. We're going to have somebody as a newer agent that's going to be there all day. We're going to be switching some people through. There are agents that aren't making money, that do want to get paid an hourly rate also. So we've done that. We always keep the home attended when we know that we're going to have 30, 40 showings in a day. Our record was a record for 36 or 48 hours? 48 hours. 120 showings in a house. 120 showings in a short amount in that 48-hour time period. So as a hint, something that we're doing, and again, it doesn't mean that everybody's doing it. We've actually, once we're at a level of 30, 40, 50 showings, we actually up the price. We actually up the price, because it adjusts in the multiple listing, and that'll knock some buyers out. Because why waste people's time? And if we keep seeing appointments are growing and still consistently, boom, we knock getting in. Why do we do that? One is to not waste people's time. Two is also to create the urgency of where we expect it, where it's going to be going in numbers. we're doing $10, $15, $20,000 drops maybe on a $400,000, $500,000 house. So yes, if we see a lot of homes, we've actually jumped the price $100,000. And that buyers know that's where the new threshold is, or $50,000. So you want to look at those things where you're at. So what really goes on behind the curtains of 5, 10, or even 20 offers? There were some in the past. I mean, I know agents, we've had 30 offers in on them. And as we sit within, and as I've been informed, and as we work through the due diligence with our clients, is you go through pile A, pile B, pile C, and pile D. You want to look at the ones that have the least amount of contingencies. So if you're a buyer, I know it's painful. Maybe get your parents to maybe get your parents to buy the property with you. We ended up having 2 offers on properties that we made for buyers last week. The buyers have elected to get a mortgage still, but they're electing to waive their financial contingency. They're not making it a gift. They're having the parents go on the agreement of sale. We left it in that there's an and/or nominee that we can ultimately remove somebody if we choose to. So ultimately, we're going to get the mortgage, we're going to pull the parents off, and the buyer is ultimately going to be the buyer without the contingencies. They'll go settlement one way or the other. The point is that we could show the finances without making it a gift. Gifts make people a little nervous because somebody can have an argument between the time now and settlement, and they can pull the gift. Somebody can have a tragedy in their life and pass, and all of a sudden that gift money, the estate isn't going to give it. What we found is if we are getting a financial gift from a buyer, they're either going to go on the agreement of sale with them and we're going to pull them off, and or we are going to put all that deposit money in an escrow account, in the deposit account, that it's there. That's the goodwill money. That's the other hint, everybody. There's the hint. Put as much money into an earnest deposit money, which in the state of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, there's different states. I mean, I don't know what California does. I'm learning Florida because we're doing a ton of business down in Florida. And yes, I sell in Florida. And yes, I can help and refer you to other trusted agents that I work with around the country. California, Tennessee, Texas, all that stuff. But the bottom line is get that deposit as big as possible. You want to wow them. So when you're making your offer, you have a sale price. My buddy and business partner, Jack, who's in Florida, he was like, I do escalation clauses, but I don't do them in $500,000 increments. He does them in 5,000s. He does them also, like I sometimes do them in a weird number. I do them like a $250. Come up with a different that if you are there, you're always going to be bumping it. Make sure you're putting a strong appraisal escalation cover clause in it. If you're willing to pay $60,000, $50,000, $20,000 over the asking price, make sure you're covering that escalation in appraisal. That it only has to appraise for the asking price that it was denoted as, not as the number that you're paying it, just in case it doesn't appraise. We've ran into that problem. We ran into that problem this week. We've had 2 appraisals cut. One was to the benefit of our buyer. Our buyer was at 615, ended up coming down to 585. Matter of fact, I think it was less than that. I think it was 575. But the bottom line comes down to it was a win-win-win for the buyer. The seller's like, we let the market push where we were at. We knew we were pushing at the asking price. Your buyer went up. We got the deal, and it ended up settling coming down. So the appraisals are affecting sellers, and the appraisals are affecting buyers. But the difference also is look at that escalation clause where it's at. Also, look at where the appraisal gap is going to be covered. Can that gap be covered? For a lot of buyers, if you're doing minimal money down, 10%, 15, 20% down, you got to watch your PMI insurance that's going to fall in there. There are loans that don't have PMI insurance in there. Once you're, like if you're 30, 40% down, it's not going to affect you because if it appraises 5, 10% below market, guess what? It is what it is. And you're still going to be your 80% loan to value. You can always be in an 80% loan to value. I have buyers that really get nerve-wracked. They want them overpaying for the property because I'm bidding up the property and there are no other comps or sales. Well, I say to them, do you want to be the new buyer that sets the bar, or do you want to be the buyer that comes in next? And this is the new bar. This is the new appraised value. This is the new property sale price because that next seller is going to start at that number of where it sells. So it can be you or it can be somebody else. The key is do you want to be the somebody else that's going to be paying more than that, or do you want to be that person that's going to set the bar and everything else goes from there? If you're planning on being in the house 5 to 10 years, an extra $10,000 on $200,000-300,000 isn't going to kill the deal, especially if it appraises in there. We are also seeing a lot of seller assist that's coming back because there is equity in the properties. The offers may not be being bid up that high, but we know that there's appraisal ability in there. So we're getting credit back to the buyer, helping them with cash coming out of their pockets. So instead of being a 15% down loan, we're making at a 20% down loan with no PMI insurance, making the appraisal easier, and then ultimately just getting theoretically 5% back in seller assist that's helping. So we've talked about appraisal gaps. Escalation clauses, we've talked about that in that you want to pick a number that you don't think everybody's going to do. Make it that you're going to stand out. So write your best number. Don't worry about what it could. You can't guess. Do your best number, walk out with your head high. That's your best offer number. Number 2, large deposit. As large a deposit as you can do. This is how I go down it with the sellers. What are the best prices? What are the best deposits? And then what is the financial contingency? If you're a cash deal, you go in pile A. If you're non-contingent on financing, you go pile A. If you've got financing and you're over 20% down, you go pile B. If you're in under 20% down, you go pile C. And if you're totally out of there, not even in the game, you're going to be in pile D. And unfortunately, don't take this the wrong way, agents. You could have a great offer. You can have great information. The agreement of sale is a mess. It's missing blanks. It's not filled complete. When we have presentation of offers, we have that sheet in the multiple listing. It says what to present, how to present it. If you can't follow the information that's in this sheet that's broken down, nor pick up the phone to call me or my EA, Vicky, guess what? I'm not sure you're going to have attention to detail to get the rest. So you're going to go in pile D. All right. So remember that, agents. And if you're being pushy and rude to the other agent or being rude to me, you're going to pile D. I'm going to tell the owner about the offer, but I'm going to also say, look, we're dealing with an agent that seems to be a little difficult or a little non-knowledgeable. How do you want to deal with this? I have always had conversations with my sellers and also my buyers in that I've had agents call me and say, look, your buyer's not the best buyer, but we know you're going to get it to the table. We know we can trust you're going to help with the appraisal. We can trust with keeping your buyer non-emotional and freaking out through this. We know you have that experience. We want to work with your buyer. My seller is instructing me to tell you the offer they would take with your buyer if your buyer is willing to take it. And guess what? That's all fair. That's all fair. You're representing your seller. The goal is to get the best transaction on the best buyer. So your buyer, again, when I look at it, is who is the best buyer and who is the best agent to be working with that buyer, and or what is the mix of them when we're looking at offers. So that is very, very key. I get agents that drop notes. I get buyers that stop at houses and drop notes. I get buyers. I've had buyers have flowers delivered the same day the offer's made. They didn't get the offer, but guess what? It was part of where it was. And again, some people say you're not allowed to do that. I heard I'm not allowed to do that. I heard the other agents aren't supposed to do that. But I can't stop the freedom of, that's why we live in the United States. 250th birthday coming up. If a buyer goes and knocks on the door and the seller happens to be there and they introduce themselves, hey, I can't stop that. We lost the contract about a month ago. We were significantly higher than the other offer. We were 20,000 higher. We had no contingencies. We were cash. We were all this stuff. And the lady of the house was an older lady, had been there 30 some years. There was a young couple coming in with some young kids. They knocked on the door. They introduced her. And the other agent said, Craig, you got the best deal, but she's not taking the best deal. She's taking the next family. My people were empty nesters buying, probably there for 10 years, 5-10 years, where this other couple, she visioned them 30 years from now, being, growing up, watching these kids grow up in their homes. So that's a key part. Sometimes it's not always about the money. Some people are just, they're emotional about their house. They're very tied to it. So that's important too. be nice, everybody, because in these multiple offers, I know it's like the Wizard of Oz. You got all the arms and the legs going. You're behind the curtains, got all these mean faces. You got all this smoke and mirror. But downheart, you got somebody who's looking for a heart. You got somebody who's looking for a brain. You got somebody, who's looking for some courage in a new home. And then you got Dorothy, who's the agent who's there trying to help and carry everybody forward. There was a great quote that I saw the other day that came out. It says, don't worry about always getting your ducks in line. Gather the ducks that are around you and just run across the street. And that's kind of when you're putting the offer together. Get all your best stuff together. Get it in front of the seller. Get it in front of the buyer. And go from there. Next thing is emotions. Everybody, I'm going to close with this. Real estate is a full contact sport. If I can help you in any way, if you're an agent out there struggling, if you're an agent out there who's killing it and want to talk some more about more strategies, I'd love to learn and share, have a cup of coffee with you. Love to have you on the show. If you're an agent that's struggling on how to get some multiple offers, how to get some things done, please give me a call. I'll be more than happy to share some ideas. If you're a seller coming to market, let's sit down. Let's set a plan. Let's set that game plan out. If you're a buyer coming to the market for the first time buying now, do not wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I'm going to get ready to buy a house. Let's set a game plan. It could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It could be the end of the year. It could be 27. The difference is be ready for it. So please, everybody, follow me on Unscripted Real Estate Talk. Follow me on Craig Lurch Selling 215. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. Love to share ideas. Love to talk with you if I can help you in any real estate. Everybody, I sell real estate. I don't just do radio shows. But here's the deal. There's a lot of experience behind that. And you may not like what you hear, but you're going to get the truth. You're going to get trust, and you're going to get a lot of great guidance going forward. Coming into the new week, I want to wish everybody a fantastic start of June. To all the college graduates in Philadelphia, congratulations. God bless. To all the high school ones, congratulations. God bless. Remember, go out and change a life today. You never know whose life you're going to change. It might be yours. Have a blessed week. Talk to you next Wednesday. Boom.